And it's live now. Uh, it's at 10,000 hours, man. It's at somebody like that. You said he started in 2009.
That's when that first YouTube channel was started. I probably started watching 2012 because I remember I just graduated college when I found it. That's when I really
Sure.
started watching YouTube.
And even then, he was kind of a single streamer. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. And then the
Mhm.
explosion comes from just always doing your craft, always
Mhm.
following what your calling is. Really, to be honest, you can force a rock up the hill with YouTube. But hey, Tyra, but yeah, that explosion. I know. I bet you there were people like, oh, just all overnight, this kid came out of nowhere, and he really didn't. He
Mhm.
really from 2009 to when did he explode?
I want to say because he started the second channel, Film Theory, 6 or 7 years. My years might be off, but he started as the second one, and then that had its own life form. And I'm guessing from that point on, at that point, you just need to start hiring a team. You need to start
Sure, yeah.
hiring
Once it really
more
starts to
folks
move
to be
time,
be involved. And now he's got a whole. And the neat thing is on his YouTube videos, all of them, it's kind of like their own cohesive but independent personalities. But
yeah.
if you like one, you like the others. And I've
Well,
just
because
met
it has the
people
heart
who
underneath it. Yeah,
exactly, and it's just he has different folks working on you know game theory versus film versus food, and they just opened style theory, which is about interesting things with clothing and
sounds
style.
cool.
But
It
yeah,
sounds cool.
seemed like an interesting attempt. But yeah, did great videos. I mean, million subscribers for most of those channels, so uh, seems like
Yeah.
an interesting group of people.
So, welcome everybody to Behind the Track. I'm Charles McFall, the director, and this is Anthony. I can't say his middle name because it's an expletive, but it's Vito. But that's his real name. It's really an expletive. I don't know how they got on his birth certificate, but yeah, I told him it's not after 10. I can't say your middle name, Anthony.
It's Italian, that's why.
So, of course, if you're watching this later, you can catch us live twice a month leading into DragonCon on twitch.tv/DC Digital Media. And then in between those times, there's other people on the channel doing open stream nights and open mic nights and recordings and those kind of things as well, leading into DragonCon. And hopefully carrying on after, we'll keep some content going on. But that's at twitch.tv/DC Digital Media. And right before we started here, Anthony and I were, oh, yeah. Oh, I got to turn my mic up. Here we go. There you go. Is that better, everybody? Turn my
Oh,
mic
there we
up.
go. I love it.
Also, follow our social medias, right? You can like and subscribe across all the different platforms because Tyra Burton is working really hard on making some great banners and doing some great promotions, and it'll let you know what's coming up next and when to tune in and all that stuff. So check that out. It's pretty awesome. So as we were getting warmed up here and talking, we were talking about Matthew. What's his name again?
Matthew Patrick
Matthew
of
Patrick. Matt
of the
Pat.
Game Theorists.
I saw
That's the
that.
one. Yep.
His first thing that comes up is Wikipedia, Matt Pat. And I was like, oh, but then it's threw my brain off because I got to use a name 5, 6, 7, 20 times before I really lock it in.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, the film theory, game theory is a really cool thing. And you had reached out through Discord through our volunteers. So it's Anthony Vito here. We just call him Vito. Scott likes to call you Tony, which is just wrong because it confuses me with Tony P, which I know it's Tony P and not Tony. But come on, man. It's too many.
I was
There's
like,
Tony
yeah,
P, there's Tony the Tiger. Vito. You're unique in my world.
that's no matter what, even when I introduce myself and people start calling me Anthony, it eventually always goes to Vito, which I love. It's unique, it's different, and
Yeah.
I'm cool with it.
Yeah. Thank you. I mean, I'm glad that you like it. Like I named you Vito. You're welcome. Thank you. And yeah, all right. So you reached out through Discord. I wanted to bring this up because not a lot of people know how do I see my favorite person at DragonCon? And the reality is they have to be aware of DragonCon because most of your favorite people, as much as you think they would be, sometimes they just have no idea, that it's here and when it is and what goes on here. And then we have to be able to connect with them. It's not just an automatic process. So you reached out about Matt Pats and the theory channels and say, hey, I'm a really big fan of theirs, which is always a plus when I know, somebody's who plugged into our community, not just a volunteer. I don't have to know you personally, but you're active in our community and say, hey, this person would be a good idea, boom, plus. And so you said, how do we reach out to them? And the reality is you contact me through Discord. If you get into our Actually, I'll put up the tiny URL right now. If you get into our Discord, which can be found at tinyurl.com/digital media track with the D, M, and T all capitalized, like names, digital media track. So tinyurl.com/digital media track is how you get into our Discord. If you hit us there, you can find me easily. You can direct message me as well through that. Because if we share a server, it's easier to find me and do all that. Discord is updating their usernames here very soon. So I don't even know what mine is because it's some version of Rock God of Podcasting, but has that hashtag and number. So when that changes, I'll start promoting that more. But you reached out, so I just sent you. We have a form letter that we make, and I just gave you a copy. So you, as the person who is connected to them, you're the fan, right? You're that connecting membrane between Dragon Con and them. That you can take that letter and make it personal to why you enjoy them, why they could get something out of coming to Dragon Con and what they could bring to it. And that's basically the long of the short story.
The proverbial shoot your shot. So we'll give it a go.
Yeah.
But yep, big fan. And I think they could, either him or one of his team or a couple of them could contribute a ton to this track. So we'll give it a shot. Yeah. I'm glad that I went through that process because I was thinking in my head, oh, it might be too late to ask for that. Let's not even worry about it. But I just thank you for the Discord being so welcoming to where I felt like I can go ahead and ask these types of things.
Sorry, I just had a notification from one of my companies. To that point, June 15th is the cutoff. Now, if they're big enough and you say, I didn't go, I trusted you. So like, yeah, cool. Here's information. I didn't go look at channels. You say you think the channels each have like 1 million followers or whatever. Well, that kind of level on YouTube is enough for them to take, beyond the time frame of like, yeah, we'll consider you as long as you seem like you would really bring some attention to Dragon Con. And then in this case, that Charles can actually use you and put you around, which, on this channel, it definitely sounds like anybody off that team coming, we could use it. Producers, definitely, talent show, talent, math, oh my God. I keep trying to call him Matt. I keep trying to call him Matthew Pat. Then my brain goes Matthew Pat Perry. And then it's just a train wreck, Vito. It's just a train wreck after that. So yes, it is super produced. Are you a super producer? I don't see a cape, Vito.
I didn't bring it. It's in the closet right now. So I figured to set the level a little low today. But that is my buddy Brock, who watches and listens to a bunch of other shows, and he's been on a few podcasts as well. So happy to see him live.
He's humble. Brock, I will put it up there.
But June 15th is a good date because that is my wife's birthday, so I will remember it as that's the cutoff date.
Yeah, and if somebody doesn't come through, that happens. Right. I've actually had one-on-one conversations with some people early on, like a month or 2 ago. I mean, it was fairly early on, and said, hey, this is what we can basically offer you. I give them some guidelines of this because I still, even as director, I can't offer anything. It has to go up the chain. But I can say, they can cover this or that. It's just a matter of what you ask for versus what you can bring and talk to them. And, I don't, it's somebody everybody would like. It's somebody everybody would know and like. And I really enjoy their content, and I really enjoyed the conversation I had with them. And they're not so large that they have representation yet, but they're getting there, right? It was a great conversation, and I've messaged them a few more times, and I even did a connecting email between them and Dragon Con because they still have to go through the guest process. That's lined out in the email that we send. But I connected them in an email to the right people at Dragon Con and said, hey, be on the lookout. I've invited them to come, be on the lookout for the application, and we can talk about what they need. And privately behind the scenes, the person who runs that's like, no, that's awesome. I'm a huge fan. We as long as they don't, the key is always with Dragon Con, as long as you don't ask for too much, we definitely would like to work with you. And unfortunately, something's just not worked out with timing or whatever. They just haven't applied. Technically, right now, I guess, I feel bad. I'm supposed to be interviewing you. I was like, what is behind the track? Here's some updates. Glad you asked, Vito. Now sit back and let me talk for an hour.
I'm learning so much. I'm loving this right now. This is great.
I do not have a guest for Dragon Con digital media track right now, and it's really bugging me. There's some other stuff we don't have right now that's really bugging me. And some of it I can talk about, some of it I can't, but I've reached out directly to a few people, like, talk to them on the phone and said, hey, this is there's things, emotions. There's certain people that I've reached out to. Dr. Drew Pinsky. I just went through his website. It got filtered. The local radio show, the Burt Show, I reached out to them through their stuff. Um, and I'm gonna reach out again. Just send another, hey, here's a follow up email, blah blah blah. But I get it. There's certain things and conflicts of schedule, whatever. There's certain things that you just can't get through to somebody sometimes. Um, it just is what it is. I know story I can tell now is back in 2020 when the world was starting to shut down. We weren't sure exactly what was going to happen. We were still planning Dragon Con. And we started, I had a dinner with Rob. It's not the right name. I know too many Robs. He's the founder and owner of Libsyn. And Rob and I and a few people went to a Drew Garbo. Yeah. I can't say it. Garabo. Anyway, Rob and I, a few people
Drew
went
Garabo.
Garabo. You know them?
Radio personality in Tampa.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Well, everybody in Tampa, Vito. Just make it happen.
Yeah, hashtag Tampa famous, we call it. Actually, he's more Tampa famous than me, but that's what we call it.
But I went to dinner with Rob and explained what we're doing with the track and where we're going. Sometimes it takes explanation, especially with long-time podcasters. And when you start saying digital media, they feel like sometimes you're taking something away from them, and that's not the case. And once I really got to talk about my vision and used some of my credibility from the reputation I built up with him, that he really wanted to pitch in and help and connect. And they have a number of big podcasters and celebrities on their network of hosts right there. It's not a network, it's a hosting site, but it's a mesh between a network and a hosting site, because they'll absolutely go, hey, we've got Alicia, who's on his anyway. I just lost her name.
I'm drawing a blank too, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Aisha Tyler.
That's it. Yep.
It's not Alicia. That's what threw me off. It's Aisha. And he had a working relationship with her. He introduced me to her people. We started conversations, and we were going back and forth through the spring, and it looked like we might get Aisha Tyler, right, as digital media content creator. And, that was going to be a huge get. And COVID went, screw you, man. And that was it, and it's not like we can't follow up, but I felt like we've been rebuilding. That's where I'm going to turn it to ask you a question. I want to ask you this question for now, and then we'll lead into where you got started with Dragon Con. But do you feel like from 2020, we've started kind of rebuilding the not just the track, but the con itself?
I think so a lot. And I'll kind of backstep. I've been doing Dragon Con this will be my 12th year. So I've been doing this for a very long time. Second year being a part of this track.
Year, just so everybody knows.
I thought so. It seemed like you were new to the scene. But I was very impressed with the 2020 pivot to do it all live and virtual, and it was an excellent job with doing the panels, doing the Discord that create games for everyone who was still an attendee. But obviously the year after 21 was not half capacity, but maybe even lower than even last year. There was still everything was building back up, but it just felt like getting everybody in and out of ballrooms and panels. All the track programming was more consistent. It just seemed like it was a lot easier to get around. It was a lot easier to get into the places you wanted to get into. And it felt like everyone kind of merged the ability of like, okay, we still want to try to be safe after the pandemic, but we still have all these people to accommodate. And it feels like we're getting back to that, and even in a better spot for some reason. Last year felt like the perfect storm.
There's a literal secret behind that.
Ooh.
And before, it's not like hidden, it's just something that's behind baseball that nobody even realizes. When I took over as track director and we programmed panels, they were 45 minutes each, technically 50, but it was like 45 minutes, and it was just no break. It was just back to back to back to back to back. And then when COVID came on, Actually, well, and I mean, if you've been going there for 10 years, so this is up through pre-COVID, right? It was just,
Mhm.
I that's why we really like 5 minutes, 2 minutes, get off the stage. So we have 10 minutes to clear the room and get somebody else, the next crew right in here. And
Mhm.
it just was what we knew, right? And um it that's how the whole con worked. And that's what everybody was used to. And then COVID hit. And when I can't, I don't think they changed the time then. I think we're changing it for 2020. But basically somewhere in that time frame, 2019, 2020, the behind the scenes part that changed was now it's an hour long panel with a 30-minute break to the next panel. And that's mandatory. You have no way around that.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
think it came through when we came back in 2021 because we had to have times to shut down the rooms for cleaning. Like literally, that's what the hotels demanded. That's what the city of Atlanta demanded was that you can at certain times in the day, and the hotel dictated the time because there are people coming in to spray and clean. We had to lock out the room, and we had a choice of like 5 or 6. So I actually pivoted to say, well, we're not shut down both rooms. We're gonna have one room going with one shut down for cleaning, blah blah blah.
Mhm.
But then, yeah, just that pacing now of is a full 60 minutes you can get, maybe a little bit more because we actually have a 30-minute window in between panels, and it has made that flow just that much better.
Mhm.
And
And
it
that
doesn't
kind of
help. It doesn't hurt that we have last year was half attendance.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure what that number was, but it definitely felt a lot slimmer than years past. Do you know if there's any is it just kind of
Yeah.
for this year? Okay.
Yeah, no, because they have to sell a certain amount of tickets or cut it off at a certain amount. So the first year, 2021, we're looking at roughly it was a third. So the
Mhm.
max attendance we'd gotten to before 2019 was 89,000 people, 88,000, somewhere in there. I'm sure somebody could probably Google it at this point, but
Oof.
it was in that range. And then COVID, and then when we came back, it was roughly a third. They don't think they shared. I don't remember them sharing the exact number what we're capped at, but it's roughly a third. Last year, it was definitely in the 40 to 50 range, so roughly half. And this year, we're at the 60 to 65 is where we're capped at. So still, I mean,
Hmm.
when you're talking about people, 20,000 to 25,000 people less is a huge deal to help move through those hallways.
Oh yeah, because I mean, even in the city of Atlanta for Labor Day weekend, you still have the Peach Bowl Classic or whatever.
Whatever
So
it is, yeah.
that brings up people as well. So it's like having 20,000 less just makes it
Oh,
that much less to go through the vendor rooms or go through any
yeah.
panel you want to go see in the hotels. So it's just a lot easier to get around.
And I'm pretty sure if it went on sale, it was very limited and sold out quickly, but they've pretty much stopped selling single day tickets for Saturday. They used to
Mm.
do that, but now it's like, I mean, that's the heaviest day is Saturday. So they
Oh yeah.
pretty much keep that too if you buy a 5 day pass because they're still selling out a lot. Yeah, Groove is saying, Scott saying not to mention concerts and such. There's also the world. If you're not in the books, it's not world famous, but I found out by writing Marta to Dragon Con, the world famous Decatur Book Fair Festival.
Oh,
But it's like this huge, it's almost like a tiny con, but it's almost like Dragon Con where they bring in authors and different stuff. And it's just this huge book thing going on the exact same weekend,
that is
not that
interesting.
far from the city. So yeah, it is a lot. So 12 years, what first brought you to Dragon Con?
So we had a friend. So we'll back up. We had a friend who went to Dragon Con for the first time, and I have two friends who are married who have gone years prior. Um, my buddy Wayne actually says he wish he bought the Eternal Pass 25 years ago because
Yeah, don't we all?
the pass back then was a lot smaller now, and he would have definitely paid for it. He's gone every year. So he a friend of mine went with them, said this is great. We actually are all theater majors, so he actually wrote a play about Dragon Con that I was in when I was in college, and not about it's like just about con goers and the dichotomy of like people who are cosplayers, people who are gamers, and like everybody coming together. And so he said, we should all go to Dragon Con. And I said, you know what? We can make this work. So we got a hotel. We all went that first year and I fell in love. Everything was amazing from you see all the costumes, all the guests, all the performances, the concerts, just everything was it's like it's everything all in one spot in the beautiful city of Atlanta. I mean, it's hot as heck, but I had a great time and every year have gone since. And then one magical year I found the podcasting track and decided to follow that along when it first came up. And I tried to remember this. Was that 2017 or 16? When did you guys start?
Oh my God. I should know this. So you said, basically by my math, you started coming in about 2010.
Mhm.
Bobby Blackwolf is like the keeper of the records with this. I forget how long I've even been director, to be honest with you. So I changed it from podcasting track to digital media. And I
Mhm.
want to say that was a 10th anniversary I did that on. So I think I started 2018. I started directing. Yeah, that makes sense. 'Cause I think I found out the other day because I pitched a company to be a sponsor friend of our track this year, and they're interacting with me. They asked for more details and had done some of their research. So I had to Google when I first heard about them. It happened to be the year I went to DragonCon, but earlier in, I think it's, yeah, that makes sense. So 2015, I went for the first time, and I
Mm.
Googled New Media Expo, and last year they were done. It's 2015. Uh, so yeah, 2016 I came with Hugh. That was his first year. Then I think 2016 I started volunteering. 2017 I was the shadow director, as Scott says, and then 2018 it was out in the open. That sounds about right.
And that
So I would have changed it in 2018. So that sounds about 2008,
okay.
2007 is when the podcast track started.
Excellent. Yeah, so I probably found it because I didn't see it the first year or two I was there. At least I didn't notice it. So probably around 2015, 2016. But that lines up when you were director or shadow director, because 2017 was the um, first year that I started producing a podcast. Actually, Barack knows very well. The Illuminati podcast by the Daily Stampede was looking for a producer. I decided to use my audio knowledge from my theater production background to say, hey, I could probably do that. It was a lot, it wasn't just as easy as you think it is, but I got it off the mat and worked with them from that. And pretty much from the podcasting track, I would go and listen to the creators and guests and everyone on these panels and learn bit by bit, just a little bit here and there, talk to people as we went, figured out what good hardware and software there was, and experimented from then on out. And, we
Nice.
grew from our first recording on Skype in my closet to having a portable studio that we can use to doing live shows on Twitch and streaming on YouTube now. So I hats off to this track because it literally helped me go from just building a single podcast to being a producer and editor to, I mean, now I have my own side business, editing and producing shows. So it's just like everything I've learned on this
That's
track
awesome.
has I pretty much uh, owe it all to you guys because like you guys put together a really good place to learn and experiment and talk to people and to people who are like who want to have a conversation and want to be with you because like sometimes you get big guests and they have busy schedules so they really can't chat with you but they go
Yeah.
with the guests that we or the like attending pros we have here or even talking to you or talking to Scott or any of the people that I met. You always would take 5 seconds to chat. And even Todd talking about Blueberry for a second was like
Yeah.
things like that. I kind of went off on a bit of a tangent, but that would make sense. Probably around 2016, 2017 is when I started following the podcasting / digital media track.
What room was it in the first year you found it?
So was it always in the Hilton?
Yes.
Okay. So that's probably, I know we weren't in G6 and G7. There was a different
Okay. So
location.
that would have been, yeah. So you definitely would have come at least 2015, 2016, because the year I was shadow director, so 2017, they moved it it was the Hilton 212 upstairs. And there used to be an escalator right there and all that. And they've taken all that out now. But, and then when I was shadow director, they moved it and a lot of people down to the basement. So Brian Dunaway and Wood Whisperer, Spagnola, Ali Spagnola they were the co-directors then.
Okay.
So yeah, if you're upstairs, that was the last year that Night Attack was there. Well, actually, no, the Night Attack did. They were there for 1 year when we were downstairs. So 2017 must have been the last year they were there. Lots of changes, man. Lots of things have changed over time. You've definitely been going longer than I have. Coming just to the con, what's one of the biggest changes you've seen or that you missed or that you're happy it changed?
Well, I remember back. So the two friends I mentioned actually have Hilton legacy rooms. So I always get to stay with them. So I've had the benefit of being in the Hilton, which is really great working with this track because I just
Yeah.
wake up and go right
Hey,
downstairs.
Scott, he gets all the early morning shifts.
Yeah. So I remember when the gaming was all downstairs in the Hilton, and that was a
Mhm.
huge plus because we would all just game for, we pick up, these huge Battlestar Galactica, these huge games we just play and, wander back up to the room. So I
Yeah.
remember that was before the America's Mart. So I remember the first year when the America's Mart started, and then they added more that set
Tyra
building
said
too.
it smelled.
Oh yeah. Well, there's a lot of
Tyra, we're not allowed to officially say that.
You are not wrong. So it's very small area. So I remember that escalator going up. You said that they completely changed out, but
yeah.
I kind of like because now the America's Mart houses all of gaming and it's much larger. And even though it's a
Yeah.
little farther and they do have a cutoff time, it is a lot better. And I like having the tracks that are down there in the basement because everyone gets along, it seems like, and it's not a ton of traffic going up and down. But that was the biggest change I remember.
I get you there. I think one of the first years was one of the last years they had it in the basement. That one, I mean, I think 'cause at some point I brought my daughter one of the years, and I don't think it's the first year. I don't remember. Anyway, it's great. When you've been going long enough, you can't remember. Then memories pop up on Facebook, like, holy crap, look at that. But the blood drive was in the basement of the Hilton, and it was ice cold.
Yeah.
Ice cold. So when they talked about moving us down there, I was like, cool. And I swear to you, our air conditioner breaks in our room every freaking year.
Oh, it's so
there's
funny.
been times when it's broken in other rooms too, but last year ours was the only one that broke. They went up to the roof. I don't know if people know this, but we're doing panels in the main room, G6, right? Galleria 6. And they have a ladder outside the door. Somebody standing against the door so nobody opens it the wrong way. And he's up in the roof. And he goes, well, it's almost that meme of a TikTok. There's the problem. Ain't got no gas in it. But he brings out this metal ring that looks like it's off a freaking submarine. And he goes, well, this is what's wrong. And this is supposed to be on that. And it's not. And it's going to be till, after Labor Day before we can order it. And so, sorry, guys. And we're like, are you kidding me? Every other room in the basement is ice cold and we're burning up in here. That's awesome. So, but
unbelievable.
And hey, we didn't flood though. There was two rooms that flooded from air conditioning mishaps. So I don't know.
And the funny thing is, the Dragon Con people are really good about memeing everything. So now the flood is a meme. Like the carpets. Oh, sorry. The biggest change I remember is the carpets.
Well, the Marriott,
the carpets. The Marriott carpets. That became its own thing. And now there are inflatable dinosaurs with the carpet pattern that you can buy. Just the greatest people. It's just the greatest.
Scott, something about the great smoke out of 2019. That was bad. Where Trader Vic's didn't have good ventilation. And I was like, now looking back, I would have just called the health department. It's like, no, this is ridiculous. But because I found out later how much pushback Dragon Con got from Trader Vic's and from the hotel, and it just basically we got the big middle finger. But there's no way it gets smoky like this into a hotel if your equipment is working correctly. And if it's not working correctly, then it's a health violation. And come on,
and a fire hazard.
Yeah. We've been talking about trying to move out of the basement for a couple of years now. COVID killed it. 2019, we had a banner year, and of course the smoke out. And I said, hey, IT wants me up in the Westin. Gaming track wants me in the Westin. I walked the Westin. I like the layout for what we could do with rooms. The rooms are just inherently a little bit bigger over there, and the way some of it's arranged, you can actually share a miniature ballroom. Like the idea was we're going to be on the other side of gaming track. Was the proposal, and we would have shared a ballroom that we both technically between the two of us would have controlled, more or less. It's about the size of Crystal. And Tyra says, I'm in the Ritz. I want you to stay at the Westin.
Wait, no.
That was on the docket, right? That was on the docket. And then, of course, 2020, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, nobody. Then America's Mart decided to remodel everything. And now nobody's moving anywhere. Everybody's just frozen in time and place because we lost. So initially America's Mart, we lost the whole first floor because they remodeled it and made it all these businesses and stuff, whatever. So that's no longer show floor, but there's 2, 3, and 4. not the buildings, but the floors, right?
Mhm.
And this year, we lost that second floor as well. And I forget they gave us the number of square footage that we're losing. And it's like, okay, well, this is life. We always adjust, and
Mhm.
that's the thing. I don't necessarily want. I mean, I like the West, and I think it's better overall for the track. But traditionally, the hotel rooms that the con gets for me, it's been to Marriott once or twice. It's been to Hilton last year, and then once or twice it was at the Sheraton down the street, which is all
Mm.
downhill from the
Yep.
West. And so I'd have to walk uphill every day, but it's all right. I could use my steps.
I did notice, like, because gaming track and there's a few other kind of adjacent to where there were guests or attending pros who were like, I got to book it to the West End, and then I got to book it back here. So it's like, oh yeah, I guess that would make sense to have it. But yeah, I agree.
Oh,
It.
Tyra, one of the first or second years that she started doing panels on the digital media track. And by the way, everybody, Tyra's the shadow director. I mean, she tells me what to do, so that makes her the boss. So, just so you know, I have a puppet master. But she had to, she can tell the story better than I can, but she rushed from one to our panel, then had to rush from our panel to another one in a whole nother hotel. And it's like, schedule management is a thing. Um, it's crazy.
Mm.
What's one of your fondest memories? Because I mean, obviously, you said you got inspired, you've been learning, you've been doing, but just for fun, just something that stands out. What's one of your fondest memories of the podcast / digital media track?
Man, fondest memories. I gotta say it was probably so I think early on, and like one of the creators, so I'll do it in two different ways. Before I volunteered, when I was just just going to the track, probably the fondest memory was seeing a attending pro, Roberto Blake,
Oh yeah.
speak at the track. And like everybody puts their Twitter handles, so it's like, okay, I go ahead and follow everybody that I can as quickly as I can, just to kind of see what they do and everything like that. Notice it's like, okay, he's verified, has a bunch of followers. He does a lot of good stuff with business in digital media on his YouTube channel and on the creator economy. But then later that night, I met him walking around. I want to say it was the Marriott. And I was, I'm always weird about like approaching people when they're hanging out with friends or whatever, because I never want to be the, annoying person. But I went to him and said, hey, I saw your track at the podcasting track, and I really love what you had to say. And he's like, hey, do you have a second? And then we ended up chatting for a few minutes, and he was just like completely genuine guy. Awesome. He's like, if you ever have any questions, followed him ever since. I think he's a really cool, he's a really great follow, especially in the creator economy, and just kind of seeing how he's evolved with his YouTube channel and his what he's been doing as well. But that was probably the neatest thing. And that's when I realized it's like, so like I'll go to like celebrity tracks and things like that. Those aren't really people you can go up and talk to. But like here, and I've done it
Sure.
since a bunch, and I've made friends here, to where it's like you can go up and have a conversation with somebody, and they're gonna help you with whatever question you have or give you advice. And that's just the neatest thing. And I've used that advice. I mean, shoot, in my own job at USF as production manager, when we had to pivot to live streaming, I used the advice I learned from this track on hardware and software to purchase to help our live streaming. And that's when my
That's
boss
awesome.
went like, oh, you don't go and just have fun. You actually go and learn stuff. I'm like, yes, I do. So it was almost like vindication, but like that's the neat stuff here. And last year volunteering, just a really neat thing, like kind of going in and you always work with somebody new for the first time. You don't know what to expect. And I just like, there's that one moment when I walked in and said hi to Scott and everything like that. And then he was like, hey, go ahead and
That's
run
what he's
this
like.
snake. Yeah.
I'm busy. What?
Yeah. He's like, go ahead and run this snake in those XLR cables. Okay. Hey, how do you want? Just like this? And then Scott, I could see in his head, like, okay, you know what you're talking about. Okay, we're good. It's just
Yeah,
that
no, I
moment
love
of like,
Scott that way,
okay.
but he just instantly realizes, oh, you can do this. Cool. He's amazing at that. I'll tell you, Scott, I know you're going to be on the show. I think the last Tuesday before we go into the con, and we'll talk, his path. But Hugh Morrison's one of my long-term friends, and he now comes to Dragon Con every year since I introduced him to it. And he just likes to be helpful, and he doesn't like to be tied down to anywhere. So that's why he won't volunteer. But if he's around, he'll do whatever he asks. And the story he tells, right? Yeah, because the story that Hugh always tells. Hugh's a one-note dude. If Hugh makes a story with you for the next 20 years, and when he sees you, hey man, and it's that story every time. And the story is Hugh will tell it. You'll hear him tell it when he's helping roll cable at the end of the show. The first year Scott was here and I was rolling cable and I was doing it right because I'd shown him how to roll the cable right. And he's like, just doing it right. So I was like, hey, are you working in the industry? He's like, no, man, I'm just helpful. And every year he tells that story. And Scott, he's like, hey, Scott just thought I was a professional. It's just the biggest compliment to Hugh that Scott thought he could do. But it was cool. But Scott, I love him. I'll tell his story when he's on the show. But Scott told me no a whole lot for about 5 minutes. And then, he just gave in because that's what good people do. You mentioned Roberto. So shadow director year, I think that's 2017. I'm pretty sure. Because I being managing Brian Dunaway's email got hit with, hey, this person, Roberto Blake, is on YouTube and this and that. And they've asked to come as an attending pro. Can you use him? I'd never heard of him. So I went, yeah, he looks intelligent. I mean, what I do is not, when I say looks intelligent, I mean like the channels put together right. That I realized how bad that started to sound. But the channel looks right. Everything looks like, okay, they can add something to the track. And it doesn't have to be like Roberto Blake, that level, just somewhat put together, like efforts put in. And so I watched some of his videos. Well, dude, I'll sample content. It's like, yeah, I can instantly, like Scott can see who can work the track. I can look at less than a minute to 2 minutes of your stuff and know, okay, you can be on this panel, you can be on this panel, you'll work. Yeah. So I said, yeah, he'll work. And he came and we actually became friends from there. And you just reminded me, I hadn't even, I just texted him while you're talking. Like, hey, dude, I'll hit your people. He has people now. He's got a team. I was like, I'll hit your people up, but are you available? And do you want to come? Because he would definitely be a guest at us this year. He was there that year. I think he came back in 2018. He and I did something together at Atlanta Comic-Con the first year that they were here. And then it's just been, VidCon and all this other stuff that he's doing. And he's still the same down to earth guy, but once you get that golden YouTube plaque, it's also, and do what he does, which is educate everybody. His career now is going from speaking gig to speaking gig, which I'm jealous of, to be honest. I think it's awesome that he's doing that.
That's what great.
Drew you to wanting to work on the track?
So it was one of those, I learned so much, and then I joined the Discord and saw how really tight knit the community was. So when you mentioned that there were volunteers, and I'm inherently, I work in production, so running audio and video, and I'm also a lighting guy. That's actually inherently, I'm a lighting designer for like theater shows and dance shows. That's inherently what my career path is. So I went, you know what? I attend this track. Let me reach out. You said there were volunteers available. Let me see what it is. I kicked the can volunteering with DC TV probably 2019, right before the pandemic. And at the end of the day, I had the first meeting and went like, this seems like a lot of work. Sounds great, but like, I still want to make sure I hang out with my friends and have the ability. So immediately Scott, DM'd me and said, hey, this is pretty much what we're going to do. We're going to run the camera feed, run the live stream, run the microphones, and make sure everyone's good. And pretty much mentioned that you have assignments, but then you can go ahead, and if you want to go see something else, you can do that. We always make sure it works out. I even said like Saturday night, which I thought was going to be a huge night, I have already tickets to the aquarium because I generally do that every year. And he's like, yeah, it's no problem. And that's when I went like, you know what? Let's do this. This seems fun. It's something that I know I'm good at. I know I can do, and I'll meet new people. And then also me as a podcast producer and editor, I just like always want to network and meet new people for the ability to possibly work with new shows. And since you linked me up with JC Delatorre, he's actually reached out to me about some work. So it's like it's really interesting to do that. So that kind of all linked together, and I realized it was a great idea. I mean, I met so many great people, and this is just a fun track. And I'm essentially working panels I would come see anyway. So
right,
able to do that.
That's how a lot of people. Plus, it guarantees you a spot in the big, when we do have the bigger guests that have the bigger rooms, you're like, well, I want to make sure I get in. I'll work that room and you're in, And
everyone goes like, oh, and then you get the free badge. You're like, oh yeah, that's the actual perk.
Yeah,
it's like the last thing I think of. It's like, then you get the badge. And the best part is not having to wait in that line. Like yesterday or last year, I was so surprised where you just came in with the badge and said, here you go. I went, thank the Lord. That was so easy. All I had to do was wrap some cable. Excellent.
Was last year your first year?
That was my first year volunteering. Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't. Yeah, time is
Oh
a
yeah.
non thing for me. I just stopped even trying. So
Hmm.
being a paramedic and working 48 or 24/48s, we were discussing this the other day at my office. Time is irrelevant. It's like, it's not, is it Monday, Tuesday? Is it Christmas? Is it whatever it is? Is it A shift, B shift, or C shift? That's it. That was my world. So I lost all track of weeks, weekends, holidays. The only way I really knew it was my wife worked a standard 9 to 5 job basically. And so I just kind of knew roughly when the weekend was. I did that for 10, 15 years. And now it's like we live in the moment. I mean, when you're in Dragon Con, you're in the moment. Every really almost minute, every 30 minutes, an hour changes because of the panels and this and that. Every day changes, every year changes. It just all kind of blurs together. And when you're solid, like you're like the entire team is right now, except for Scott. He's on, we'll work on Scott. He's getting there.
On the fence.
But it's like, and I always mean this in the best possible way. It feels like you've been here forever. And it's when I know how long you've been here, that's when the problem really is. It's been interesting. So yeah, I think I put out a thing in Discord, and that's the other thing. You really want to plug into this community. You want to be a part of anything. You want to say, hey, I'd like to tell more people about it. Hey, I want to help out just if I can, blah, blah, blah. But we've got a lot of friends of the track that play with us and that aren't volunteers, but they just love what we do. Get in our Discord. Let me get that banner back up. It is a tiny URL, tinyurl.com/digital media track, capital D, capital M, capital T. Digital media track.
Do it. It was that, once I did that, and it's just like a Discord, any other Discord community where you meet people and there's all these different channels you can go and chat anything about. And I mean, heck, sometimes it's just you have a question and I say, you know what, I'm going to throw this out to the community, and then you might get 4 or 5 different answers, and that's incredible just in that sense. But it's a good community of people, and I fully recommend doing it. Join the Discord.
And there's a much longer one to type in, but Scott put it in for people to click on.
I can't click it.
Yeah, here on StreamYard you can't click it, but if you're on Twitch, you could click it itself. So you also pitched a panel or two last year. Before that, had you pitched any panels and gotten rejected?
That was my first panel pitched last year, and to my shock, you let me do it.
Well, okay. So when you give, you get a little bit. So the fact you're plugging in and everything else, that kind of, and then the way you wrote it, there's an energy to how we do everything. And there's just, somebody can make the most eloquent description. I'm like, I don't know, I'm not feeling it. It just, I'll put it on the standby, or I'll put it in the whatever. Sometimes it's just a title, and there's one, and I don't know who you are. I don't know how to find you. Well, I do. I knew how to find you. I think I have an email, but it's like, I'm not going to call you out. So I'm not going to tell you what the title is, but there's this fantastic title that every time I see it, I keep going, why is this not scheduled? And then I open it up. And it's like, it's one sentence, and the sentence doesn't quite make sense. I'm like, that I can't do anything with that. I don't have time to come hunt you down and go, hey, I like the title, because the last thing I want to do, I know it's not you, Vito, but let's say it was you. Last thing I want to do is reach out to you and go, oh yeah, okay. It's like, man, this is an amazing title. I really would like to use this panel, what I think it is, but I need you to flesh it out. Tell me more. And then for you to come back and go, it's nothing like you thought it was. This thing is crap. And you go, yeah, I'm not going to use you, buddy. And that I'd rather just kind of like, I didn't make it this year. But if you think it's your panel, do more in the description. I can cut it down, but if you tell me more in the description of what it is to sell me on it, if I can understand it, I can get it. Right. We had one year a panel, I believe, about Hispanic content creators. And when the person who pitched it, unfortunately, was not able to come, I just outright said, you got to help me, because there's no way we can have this panel without somebody deeply tied to the Hispanic community. They don't have to necessarily be Hispanic, but somebody that gets respect, because I can run that panel, but it's not going to be the same, right? And we were able to find somebody and put them in place, and it worked out. And that's how we flow. Everything's balance and flow.
There's a lot of trust. I mean, I now that I see how that process went,
oh my God,
and
a
then
lot of trust.
and then you put out that first the first draft, and it's like, hey, moderators, do your thing. And I'm used to kind of running things as a manager, so I was very happy to do that. And then it's like, oh, there's some people not in the Discord. Oh, they're big people. How do I get in contact with them? And it's just like, you
That's my favorite
sometimes
part.
don't. You just have to
Yeah.
figure it out
Trust.
from your storyboard. And
Yeah.
I think you said the right thing. It's like sometimes you throw the meat up and then let them all attack it and talk about it. As long as you have good questions and as long as you have a good flow, your panel will be great. And a lot has to do with the audience too. What are they responding to, or what questions do they have? Because sometimes you can have a panel, and I'm looking at this for mine. It's like, maybe you have people in that you were going to go one direction, but they want you to go another direction. So you have to be able to pivot. So you have to be able to have that tree. So I'm surprised, not surprised, but I'm happy the way everything turns out with the amount of trust and work it is. Because I mean, I don't know. Have you ever had a panel where it's just like, oh, this is dead. What are we doing here? This didn't work.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
Not us. Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I think Scott was there for it. And we had one of our first inclusion panels. It was the first year to have inclusion panels, and it just happened to be 5 p.m. on a Sunday evening, which is not a dead time. It's not Friday or Saturday,
Mhm.
but it's definitely not Monday morning, right?
Oh,
It's
yeah. Oh,
just
yeah.
it is where it is. And somebody on that panel tried to make it a platform, which just doesn't work at Dragon Con. I mean, it just does not work.
Yeah.
And I don't know if and I'm being very generic about pronouns and everything with this person, just to kind of keep it about the content of the story, not the person. But I don't know if they didn't realize I was the director, but we were a very small team then. And we usually had one person in a room, and it already programmed out. So I was sitting at the table running everything, and they just drug me under the bus. Well, I shouldn't have said under the bus, because they referenced this panel being at 5 p.m. on Sunday, and they were African American, and they said this is like being put at the back of the bus, and the whole crowd went, "Yeah, we're not with you." And the whole crowd was 20 people. I mean, it wasn't much, but it was just the energy wasn't there, the vibe wasn't there. It just, and other people on the panel went, well, they didn't point out I was the director. I don't think they didn't like embarrass the person, but they like, well, we know the director of the track, and we're just happy this panel's here. This panel's never been here on this track before. It takes people to submit it, and it takes people like the director to accept it. And yeah, it wasn't good, but what I learned from that was still trust. It was still, I keep putting out what my heart, my vision is for everything in this track. Like, balance and flow is the simple of it. Create, teach, educate, or entertain, or all the above. That whole thing you said about everybody, unless they have to run off. We've had some pretty big names down that room. We had David Sovolov with Tara Sands and Tara Stone, and Night Vale, Melody, Symphony. We had Symphony from Night Vale, all on the same voiceover panel sitting there, and all in Gallery 6. So it's just big names in this little room. And even they stood around for a few minutes, 5-10 minutes, and talked to people. It's just that heart of giving. It seems to resonate with people. And I just keep planting that, so that basically the people who don't want to give, either it just kind of resonates in their proposal, and it just reads like, it just doesn't read right or feel right. And then the people I don't know, like yourself, I mean, I could list off a million names of people I just went, all right. And then they get on, they nail it. And I'll tell you, one of the biggest changes that I've instituted that ruffled some feathers at first was, and I'm very clear and blunt about it now, and everybody kind of knows how it flows. I was like, these panels are mine, not yours, period. I mean, I've got to make this show work, because that's the heart of it is we got to make it work. I got the vision. Someday my vision might not line up, and somebody else take over. But until then, we all seem to be agree we want to create and connect. And maybe that's your line for it. Digital media track, create and connect.
That's brilliant, actually. Wow. I love how it just naturally flows like that. Love it when a plan works. And I mean, I guess with those, that's why it's great having good guests and attending pros too, because they can go ahead and pivot if something gets off track. They can go ahead and pivot it back, because that's kind of what they are there for. So chalk it up to them that they were able to kind of swerve it back into the appropriate. But I mean, you're right. You're storyboarding all this out, and you're making sure what works and what doesn't, and combining things and making sure you put good creators together to collaborate. And it's a great thing for the track that you guys have built this so far, and it's amazing.
Had to earn the trust, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all do, right? As a moderator, as a panelist, as a volunteer, we earn the trust, and I had to earn the trust from everybody to just let me guide, let me show you what we can do together. And the first year that somebody produced or submitted a panel with 3 people, and I went, well, we can fit 6, and I got a lot of people who would be great on this panel. 3 more people on it, and not to embarrass him, so I'm not gonna come out, but the guy came to me digitally, was like, what's going on? This is my panel. And I had to be gentle but firm and say, well, I don't know you, but I know this other guy, and I think y'all are gonna do great content. And you submitted this very well, but I don't know you. So you're gonna work with the other person, and if you want the panel, you're gonna work with the other people. And he goes, and he kind of begrudgingly went, okay, because he really wanted the panel, but it didn't work. And then it worked out. Then afterwards, like, I get it. And then when they can come to Dragon Con, they are a good content producer for the track and stuff. And a lot of people that year went like that. It's like, wait, who are these people? And I just said, yeah, you have to trust. It comes down to, at some point, you just have to trust. And everybody who did well. What I love, you said earlier, is like, sometimes, they're not in our group, they're a bigger name. And I love those moments when I usually will, because I don't know how people react. I know I feel like if I tell Tyra her favorite celebrity is going to be on her panel, and I tell her 3 months in advance, she's going to stress out for 3 months. Stephanie Crignola, I tell her, hey, Josh Groban is going to be on your panel. She's going to stress out for 3 months. But if I wait to go, hey, by the way, 2 weeks before the con, Stephanie, Josh Groban is going to be on your panel. Now, just same stress, just shorten the time for it, right? So I never know how somebody is going to react to that. Now, Tyra, you do research, and sometimes people do that. Kurt was the host of that panel, by the way, that had David Sobolov, and or if not the host, he was on it. But Kurt was on that panel with Sobolov and Tyra and all that. And that's what I did to him too. It's like, hey, we need a mix of, we get paid and we've done this. Okay, I thought you were a moderator, cool, but we need to get a mix of who's huge, and then we need to get new voices, because that's also the heart. Is I like sitting on a panel with sitting in an audience when Kevin Smith is speaking, or on a panel or whatever. I prefer when he's on a panel with other people giving different perspective, and he goes, oh, I never thought of that. And those are my favorite, when they're creating vertically as well as horizontally. That's not quite the analogy, but you get the point. It is amazing. And so I always try to shuffle that. I put Phil Keating on a panel with the McElroys, whatever. And I can't remember some other big name there too. And it's like a D&D, how to do real play kind of panel. And of course, Travis is one. He's always great at sharing the limelight. He's not a celebrity hog or a spotlight hog. And also D&D, all that jazz. So Phil was like, oh crap. And I didn't tell him Travis was going to be on the panel. And he drops an abortion joke right in the middle of it. And you should have seen his face. Like, he heard it come out of his mouth. He's like, no. But it kind of landed. It landed better than you thought it would in that room. And Travis even called it out later. And afterward, Phil was just, I'm so sorry. And everybody's like, no, it's all creative. It's all creative, because sometimes a conflict is good. Sometimes we all know that if we're here to lift each other up, it's fun.
Yeah, I do enjoy it when everybody kind of yes ands off of each other. That's the big one. Instead of just kind of like answering the question and that's it. It's like, answer the question and let's go ahead and talk about this other content.
My 2 favorite panels of all time will be ones that people at first just hated. And then when I say, but this is what I loved about it, I usually go, all right, I get it. Same year, one panel had, okay, I told you, try to tell you, a friend of ours, bald guy, holy crap, I can't even think of his shows. 144 pixels, crap, Nerd's Nest. Come on, somebody help me out. Run, Jump, Stomp. I don't know why I'm blanking, but he was on it with Bill. Thank you. Everybody's now throwing out Bill. Thank you. Bill. Bill Run Jump Stomp. He was there, and his whole thing of building a Patreon community was everything's $1. Everything's $1, and you get mass numbers and this and that. Well, I put that year, I'd invited my friend Jonathan Oakes of Trivial Warfare on, and he was on that panel because he had built a big community as well on Patreon. Now, not numbers wise, but money wise. So, and his whole thing was, no, you have a $5 minimum. You have, and it was just this conflict, but it was a good positive conflict. They weren't angry, they weren't calling names, but it's like it stirs up the waters of different perspectives, and they found ways to agree on things too, and that was important. So then the audience can say, oh, that path resonates to me, that path resonates to you. Same year, we had Todd Cochran on a few panels, and his whole thing was, do not multi-stream. Podcasting is the thing. And we had other people going, no, I disagree. And I just loved those panels because disagreement is as powerful, if it's done correctly, as yes and. If you just say yes, that's okay. But you put yes and, it really is as powerful as good conflict. And I love those. But talking about Kurt, shut it. Talking about you putting in panels. So this year you put in a few more panels. Are you? I forget. I wanted to ask you. Are you married?
I am. Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, ladies.
You did say it earlier. So yeah. So I'm curious as why you submit a panel on how to shoot for OnlyFans and want to give people those shots at Galleria 7. It threw me off, man.
Oh man, you weren't supposed to say that. I was gonna put it under my incognito name. Darn.
You can do anything you want to, Drake. I was just curious, like, is your wife? But then you actually submitted a panel on posing. Didn't you?
I did not.
That was not you. Hey, somebody put in a panel about, I thought that said A Vito. I did. I thought it said A Vito on the submission, or I would have. My joke still stands, by the way. It's funny.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. Likes and subscribes for that. Screw you guys. But
follow me at.
I thought it had been maybe something else. I thought it was you, but it just didn't fit the track. Whoever put it in was like, here's how you pose for Instagram photos and those kind of things. It was somewhat aligned with digital media content, but then they're like, yeah, and we'll do photo shoots afterwards. Like, yeah, I just don't. I can't do that one.
That would actually be my wife's forte because she's very good at the Instagram poses. That is definitely not me. Although I'm glad that you said that. I did propose two separate panels that were kind of slightly similar, and we did put them together, which I did like, and I'm excited for that one. That's going to feature Scott and Steph. But yes, I did submit a couple more.
Good. Yeah. I think. Okay, so a little behind the track. Right. As volunteers, this is the first year we've owned Galleria 7. We've always had to share it. This year we have Galleria 6 and 7. So yeah, we'd love to have some meet and greet rooms. We'd like to have, because sometimes these panels really go well. And unfortunately we have to say, okay, you've had your time, get out. And then we're like, well, it'd be nice to have this room. That was the plan. Until so many good panels that I felt really need to be shown came in, and now we've almost got both rooms scheduled all the way through. I was like,
oh, that's
incredible. It's one of those like, don't hate me, guys, but there's some really good content. I always feel like we don't do enough content. I just, at some point I'll feel like, okay, this is my max reach. But I went to a con one year, a business conference that had 3 literal hallways as tracks. One was like corporate business, and how to do digital media along those lines. One was YouTube. One, and Cause has got a good point. And one was podcasting, and you could choose at any time which track thought process. And I don't want to separate it quite like that, because to have a whole track of YouTube videos content and a whole track of audio content, I love that we intermingle. I love that. I think quite literally in one room we have a track on how to build your community, and another panel at the same time that says it's not all about community, it can be about you, that kind of thing. It's like, well, we try to do it. Now, Cause is right. There rooms closed for volunteers. I did save 2 hours minimum each day for volunteers to. We can decide to share it if we want. If people need to talk, but that we're gonna have some food for the volunteers and whatnot. So it's kind of at 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock each day. It is closed for volunteers,
Oh, okay.
so that we can have that space there. But yeah, um, Scott, Dave said he wasn't busy enough, man. Michelle said you need to do more. I'm just saying, I'm helping them out. Um, and then the moderator thing and that combining thing is another big change that I brought. That first, because people just didn't know what it was going to look like, and I get that, and they're like, I don't know. But then we see, oh, well, we combined it, and now we got a couple different perspectives, and everything seems to flow. And it helps sometimes. The first panel I ever suggested was how to, was it the monetization? Yeah, basically how to build a better playhouse, the monetization panel. And even then, when you submitted, they asked for, who's some suggested panelists or whatever. And my honest answer was, this is only my second year coming. I don't know who's going to be there, but maybe somebody like Tom Merritt, maybe this, maybe that. Threw out some names of people I recognize that somewhat knew me and I could work with. Got none of them. Yeah, no, I showed up to a full panel of people I had no idea who they were, including Bobby Blackwolf, who turns out not to be Native American. Surprise, surprise. But it's just kind of daunting, but you got to show up and just do the job. But I do try to, but it made it easier on me. I didn't know any of those people, but I was not, there's no community. There's no way for me to figure out who's going to be there. I could not have staffed that panel. So sometimes maybe you could get 3 people on your own and like, hey, I got 3 more for you. Boom. Now you have a good discussion panel without having to do some of the heavy lifting, which is good.
One thing I enjoyed about working with on that panel, working with people I didn't really quite know, is as I was asking questions and getting answers, it was like I was part of the audience, surprised at this. And like I had Omega Jones was on it, and Omega recently was in a theater show, and I said, oh, I'm a lighting designer, and it just kind of immediately went to a different pivot on, oh, this is something that we have in common. And it was just great. And like I said, I met Rita and JC. And when I did all the research, I listened to all their shows, and I went, there's a lot of good audio drama in here. And I kind of rekindled my love for audio drama. And then I told them, it's like, I would love to get involved in this. How do I do that? And that's just interesting, being a moderator and also kind of being the audience as well.
I agree. That's one of my favorite parts of being on a panel. I obviously feel like I have a lot to say. And I'll tell you, my heart of putting the whole track together this year, since the first year I ran it, didn't know anybody. It was just, man, I don't even know. I think I have the document saved somewhere, but it was so loosey goosey on how people were putting together panels and stuff. And I just had to wing it, that I kind of stalked it heavily with my network that I was running at the time, Giant Size Team Up. And then friends of the network like Ellie, who brought in Scott, and they were doing Blood Crow Diaries at the point. And I did probably 14 panels myself that year. I mean, it was really heavy.
Wow.
But it was just I said that Blood Crow Chronicles. I got it. So Crow murder stories, right? Tales from the Crow Murders, I think is what he did. Detroit by Night, something else. I don't remember. And so it was like, I just wanted to show by example what the content could be. And then I've really backed it off. So my theory is I need to step out of the way to let people that's why when we got a second room, it was like, cool. At first it was the prove it room, right? But now it's just, they've become equal to, including this year, we're really pushing getting internet in both rooms, at least you have enough in the one room to run under the door to the other room, streaming live out of both, those kind of things. But I don't put myself on very much, and I try to step out of the way. So I tell you, man, sometimes it's hard sitting in that audience and 6 or even 7 panelists are going across each other, doing what you're talking about. That's a magic moment, right? Where they're the audience, as much as they are participating on the panel, and it's just this moment. And I just want to stand up. I want to be a part of that. I want to play too. And those are the best panels, is when somebody in the audience has that urge to want to play. And again, I want to drive home. I got one more question for you before we get out of here. I drive home, come to our Discord, tinyurl.com/digital media track, all capitals there, digital media track, DMT, because that's how you can play. You do not, and this was a vision I had from the beginning that we've all worked on together. It wasn't just me. I mean, everybody who came with me has worked on this, of building a community that would make it easy for me to step in where I was, however many years ago it was now, 8, 9, no, 7, whatever it is. Time's irrelevant.
Yeah.
But because I walked in going, I have lots of content I can bring. I want to play. I mean, I know that person, I know that person, I know that person that are your showstoppers. Let me work with them. And didn't have a way to do that. I had to come in and shake hands and introduce myself to Dunaway and to anybody that's there. And then the next year, just hopefully have some contact emails and say, hey, can I come? And we've built that community that if you go and join our Discord, and look, Tyra's even begging you, please join our Discord. That's what she's doing, right? That's what she's saying, please. If you come join our Discord, then you don't have to suggest the first panel. Once we put out that list of here's the panels, some of them are fully built. Like if it's a show like Botched, it's fully built, right? That's not a panel, that's a show. Some even panels now come fully built. I don't think it was yours specifically, but there are some that anybody who's been in the community for 2 or 3 years now is like, oh, I know this person. So I think we even have a room of panel ideas where they can start the ideas there together and then move it off into their own chat. And now we're getting panel suggestions with 6 to 7 names on it, all good content creators with different points of view. For you to be a part of that, Anthony, even before you became a volunteer, you can come to our community now and you go, oh, that sounds like, and then you just, when I say, hey, DMs, do your thing, or moderators, not DMs. That's Dungeons and Dragons. But moderators, do your thing. I also say, and panelists, look at who's listed as the moderator. I guarantee you, every moderator is in Discord, because you can't be a moderator of a panel and not be. And that's one of the requirements when you submit. I'm like, you need to come join our Discord so that you can build. And this year we actually have a really interesting guest, or a panelist, I should say. They applied for attending pro, wasn't quite there, but they're almost there. And I said, hey, we're not really going to go that route this year, but you don't have to be attending pro to be on a panel. Come join our Discord. And I think they're already going to be on 2 or 3 panels. And I'm looking forward to seeing the content and then
excellent
from there. So that's advice for people, for me, who want to be panelists and whatnot. What's a piece of advice you'd give to somebody, an attendee, a creator, whoever you want to talk to right now? What's a good piece of advice you'd give to somebody about Dragon Con?
About Dragon Con. The best advice I can give is keep an open mind, explore, go see something out of your comfort zone, and just enjoy it. Just go and meet people. Go enjoy. If you have a similar interest, there's panels and tracks for everything all over the place. Go ahead and meet people. Go ahead and talk and say hello. Everyone's so nice and so happy to be there. It's such a great place to be, such a great community. But go and talk to people. Talk to people you don't know. Just say hello and just kind of enjoy it. I that's the one thing about Dragon Con is I've done it 12 years and every year has been a different experience. Just doing something different, going to different tracks, meeting new people, going to different parties. It's all just a big happy family. I just go experience it. Go have a good time.
Oh, Tyra says fall in love. She met her husband at Dragon Con.
No way. That is awesome. I have heard that people have been have gotten married at Dragon Con as well, which is hilarious.
Technically, you're not supposed to, but it definitely has happened. It has definitely happened.
That's a rule. Okay, don't do that then.
Well, it's
totally do it.
You cannot officially get married at Dragon Con. There have definitely been. There was a jury did a wedding panel, and I mean, if anybody had checked on them, it was
panel. Brilliant.
It really was. I mean, and they did. I mean, it's jury, right? And they really did the jokes. And one of the gifters was the Battlestar Galactica had shortly ended, before that, but there was a literal toaster with a visor glued on it, and they made Cylon jokes. It was hilarious. And legally, they'd actually gone to the courthouse. I don't remember when, and gotten married right before that, or something like that. But yeah, they did a wedding panel. It was great. Then I've known people just kind of duck into, hey, this room's open, and duck into there for an hour and hope nobody kicks them out, type of deal. And Tyra says I can marry people. Hit me up. Oh, thank you for mentioning that. Not that I can marry people too. Yeah, you're not special, but
Oh
only
wow,
I'm
a lot
special.
of Vitians here.
But yeah, uh, we need to make a for hire room in our Discord. And have people like yourself who does professional services. And, Tyra runs like, hey, I can marry. People love Tyra, right? And if somebody goes, wait, I can go to for hire and see that Tyra does weddings and social media, and I loved her on this, boom, and that I think that'd be a great way to connect people together.
That's brilliant. And I will say, my wife and I went on our delayed honeymoon to Italy a couple months back, and I had a couple podcasts. I said, hey, by the way, I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks. Get your contact in now, or I got to do it afterwards. And one group came to me as I was on the flight, like, hey, we need this up by Monday. And I said, hey, Scott, you want to do this? And he might have produced it better than I would have done. But thank you, Scott, for taking care of that for that client for me. And he did a good job. So it was just one of those things where in the community I went like, who can I find that's an editor? I could probably ask people in this Discord. So that's actually a really good idea to do like for hire or for a job or something like that. Because a lot can come from that. And also another thing, if you join the Discord, there are people who say when they're streaming, and there's a whole thread for that. And then what's really cool is you see what people are doing, because there's some really fun streams out there. There's one, I think it's Bean, who does like smithing. It's really cool watching him speak. Yep. And who is it? PB who does
PB
pinball? Yeah,
yep.
That is really cool watching him do Twitch streams with pinball. So it's like
and we had him
meet new fun things.
And he did 2 panels last year. One was specifically about how he live streamed the pinballs in arcades, and then the other one was just I think it was Twitch Beyond Gaming one.
Yeah, at PB Undesirables. That's right. Yeah, and Forging Winton. So those are just fun. If you are a streamer, you can go ahead and put that in there, and you never know, you might get some new people following and new people to work with the community. But that's a great idea. And again, thank you, Scott. That was very nice. Very good.
Hey, there was a time when I'm doing it again now, but there's a time back when I was doing live broadcasts out of a theater on Sundays. And I knew it was going to be out of town. I had offered, or I actually hired Scott and he came and met me for an hour, and I showed him on my setup, and he was going to come run the whole show for me. And it ended up, getting canceled. But yeah, I mean, Scott, anybody who needs anything done professionally in Atlanta, including murder, hit up Groove is for Life. Wait, no, not murder. I'm sorry. That was just for me. If you audio video professionalism,
good to know.
Go to Groove is for Life, Scott Moore. All right. Where can they find you on the web?
So you can find me at Anthony Vito _, which is right there below that on Twitter, Instagram. And you can come find me there. You can also come follow at thedailystampede.com on Twitch, YouTube, and we also have Twitter, and we have a podcast feed as well. I will say just go ahead to follow. Unless you're a big fan of USF Athletics, this thing right here, you probably aren't going to like it, but that's where most of my work is. And I edit a bunch of different shows in the sports and small business field, and also work for a internal podcasting host called Storyboard. So if you're into internal podcasting for your business, hit trystoryboard.com. Those are my known affiliations, but otherwise follow me on Twitter. Hey.
So that was when I go to an EMS professional conference, they always start your panel, here are my conflicts. I'm not paid by anybody or sponsored. And then you come here and it's like, yeah, no, here's all the things that people pay me on. And that's the difference between EMS and what we do. It's like, no, be proud of your affiliations, be proud of all that. So check out everything that Vito does. And I'm just going to promote one thing, and that's twitch.tv/wise_n_nerdy. That's a new show that Joe Ard and I am doing on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern. And it is Kurt and Mike. Kurt Booten and Mike Woodard are the voices of it. And it's chaos. We literally start the show by flipping a coin to see if it's going to be Mike or Kurt for the night doing all the buttons. And can you hear this? Okay.
Yeah.
So let me show you one of the things Kurt's done for me, because it's a beautiful thing. You'll get a taste of something like this.
Bad Daddy.
Oh,
So, I
yes.
are we also, so, but Vito, tonight you'd be,
Good daddy.
so you're all right. But we flipped the coin to see who's going to be the voice of the show that week. And so we have an intro and everything done by both of them. And we start off with the question of the week and just discuss it. And we have the feedback from social media on that. And then we roll the dice. And we have 6 segments and they just come in random order of whatever the dice dictates. And it's stuff like Can You Dig It? Which is about things that we're loving right now. We nerd out about things like Legend of Zelda last week and Tears of the Kingdom. You Tears of the Kingdom, man? Yeah.
Absolutely. It's still currently in the cellophane wrapper, but tomorrow I have a day off and I'm going to do nothing but play it.
I'm not going to shame you for that because Phil Keating, who's supposed to be the largest Zelda fan known to the universe, still hasn't beat Breath of the Wild. So, yeah.
How are you going to do that?
I know, right? My wife, Erin, who you'll meet this year, she's volunteering with us. She made me text Phil Sunday evening going, you tell Phil, as of this morning, I've unlocked every tower in the game. And he's like, yeah, I've only played like 3 hours.
You call yourself the master.
I'm just saying, he's no master sword. But thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. Thank you, Vito. I appreciate you being on the track, and I appreciate you being here. Next, I believe it's every Tuesday, we have something going on here at twitch.tv/DC Digital Media. So come hit the hearts, like, subscribe, whatever it is that you do to follow us. And we're glad that you're here. We'll scan through the comments one more time. And we are open mic night is next Tuesday, Tyra says, which is Tyra. Oh, Channing's going to be on. Channing Tatum. It's going to be great.
It'll be fun. I love it.
Yeah. Little Magic Mike going on with Tyra. It'd be cool. I like it. And then the next Behind the Track stream is June 13th with Michelle Casts. So I appreciate that. And thanks, everybody. We don't have a closing song or a card, so we're just going to hit stop. Bye.
Adios.